Have you ever wondered why, in the quietest moments of the deep night, when the world falls perfectly still and the only sound is the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, you feel an inexplicable connection to the empty space above? You step outside, perhaps feeling the cool night air on your skin, and look up at the vast scattered diamonds of the Milky Way. It is a very common human experience to look into that endless dark and feel a profound, quiet sense of recognition. We have been taught for centuries that the universe is a cold, indifferent machine, a vast empty theater made of dead matter, burning gas, and silent rocks. We are told that we are a strange, accidental spark of awareness in a cosmos that is entirely blind to its own existence. But what if this assumption is fundamentally backwards? What if the stillness you feel when you look at the stars is not the silence of an empty room, but the quiet presence of a vast ancient mind? What if consciousness is not a bizarre accident that happened to a few complex biological machines on a tiny blue planet, but a fundamental property of the universe itself, woven into the very fabric of reality, just like gravity, mass, or time? Before we venture further into this profound cosmic mystery, I want to take a brief moment to welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am honored to be your guide on this quiet journey through the universe. I have noticed that 71% of the people who wander into this contemplative space and watch these videos have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find peace and wonder in these explorations of the cosmos, please consider subscribing. It helps our community grow immensely and ensures that we can continue this shared journey into the infinite together. Now, let us return to the quiet dark of the night sky. To understand the magnitude of what it means for consciousness to be universal, we must first look at the greatest mystery residing inside your own head. Right now, as you listen to these words, roughly 86 billion neurons are firing in complex, cascading patterns within your brain. These neurons are made of atoms. They are built from carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and trace amounts of other elements. Every single one of these atoms is entirely unconscious. A carbon atom does not have thoughts. An oxygen atom does not feel wonder. A molecule of water does not experience the quiet peace of a starry night. And yet, when you arrange these unconscious building blocks in a specific pattern, something miraculous and entirely inexplicable happens. The lights turn on. An inner world blooms into existence. You experience the subjective feeling of being alive. You see the color blue. You feel the warmth of a blanket. You hear the gentle cadence of a voice. In science and philosophy, this is known as the hard problem of consciousness. How does dead, unfeeling matter suddenly generate an inner subjective experience? For a long time, the dominant scientific view has been that consciousness is an emergent property, something that just happens when matter gets complicated enough, like the wetness of water emerging from the combination of hydrogen and oxygen. But many of the greatest minds in physics and philosophy are beginning to realize that this explanation might not be enough. It is like saying that if you arrange enough silent stones in the exact right shape, they will suddenly begin to sing. This brings us to a beautiful and ancient concept that is currently experiencing a profound renaissance in modern astrophysics and quantum mechanics. It is the idea of panpsychism. The word itself comes from ancient Greek, combining pan, meaning everything, and psyche, meaning mind or soul. Panpsychism suggests that consciousness is not a rare anomaly confined to the brains of humans and animals. Instead, It proposes that consciousness, or at least a proto-consciousness, is a fundamental property of all physical matter. Just as every particle in the universe has a specific mass and an electrical charge, it might also possess a tiny elemental spark of inner experience. An electron might not have complex thoughts about its place in the cosmos, but it might possess the most basic, fundamental level of subjective existence. When you begin to view the universe through this lens, everything changes. The cosmos is no longer a dark, empty void. It becomes a living, breathing entity, a symphony of awareness scaling from the subatomic to the galactic. The implications of this are so vast that they challenge the very foundation of how we perceive reality. Consider the strange and beautiful world of quantum mechanics, a realm where the fundamental rules of physics seem to blur into poetry. For over 100 years, scientists have been baffled by the observer effect. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles of light, called photons, are fired at a barrier with two tiny slits. When scientists do not measure which slit the photon goes through, the photon acts like a wave of possibilities, passing through both slits simultaneously and creating an interference pattern on the wall behind. But the moment a conscious observer measures or watches the photon, the wave collapses. The photon is forced to choose a single path, acting like a solid particle. It is as if the universe behaves differently when it is being watched. Some physicists, including foundational figures like Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, believed that we cannot get behind consciousness. Planck famously stated that he regarded consciousness as fundamental and matter as derivative from consciousness. He believed that everything we talk about, everything that we regard as existing, postulates consciousness. If matter responds to the act of observation, it implies an incredibly deep, fundamental relationship between the physical world and the mind. The universe is not a stage where we are just passive audience members. We are intimately woven into the performance. And if consciousness is a fundamental property, then the vast silent structures of the universe might be far more awake than we ever dared to imagine. Take a moment to visualize the cosmic web. When astrophysicists use supercomputers to map the large-scale structure of the universe, simulating the distribution of dark matter and galaxies over billions of light years, the resulting image is breathtakingly familiar. The universe is not a random, chaotic scattering of stars. The galaxies are arranged in a vast, interconnected network of luminous filaments, separated by enormous dark voids. Now, if you take an image of this cosmic web and place it side by side with a microscopic image of the neural network in a human brain, the visual similarity is absolutely striking. The nodes of galaxy clusters mirror the dense clusters of neurons. The long glowing filaments of dark matter and gas mirror the dendrites and axons that connect our brain cells. Is this merely a beautiful coincidence? A trick of fractal geometry playing out on fundamentally different scales? Or is it a whisper of a deeper truth? If consciousness emerges from the complex integration of information, as proposed by the integrated information theory developed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, then any system that integrates information in a complex way might possess some degree of awareness. Tononi proposed a mathematical value to measure the amount of integrated information in a system. The human brain has a very high value. But what about the universe itself? The cosmic web is arguably the most complex system in existence. Galaxies communicate with each other across millions of light years through the subtle, relentless pull of gravity and the transfer of cosmic radiation. While this communication is incredibly slow compared to the electrical impulses in our brains. Time is relative in the grand scale of the cosmos. A single thought in a cosmic mind might take 1 billion years to unfold. We might be living inside an ancient, slowly waking thought process, tiny cells of awareness participating in a cognition so vast we cannot even comprehend its edges. This realization does not make us insignificant. In fact, it does the exact opposite. If the universe is conscious, and we are conscious, then we are the universe experiencing itself. As the great astronomer Carl Sagan so beautifully articulated, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. You are not a stranger in a cold, unfeeling void. You are its own eyes, its own ears, its own capacity to feel wonder. When you step outside into the quiet night and feel that profound sense of peace washing over you, you are not just a biological organism reacting to a visual stimulus. You are witnessing a cosmic reunion. The conscious energy within you is recognizing the conscious energy that permeates the infinite dark. The silence of the cosmos is not the silence of death, but the gentle, meditative stillness of an ancient mind at peace. Let this thought settle over you like a warm, comforting blanket as we prepare to venture deeper into the quantum mysteries and the ancient philosophies that have whispered this truth for millennia. The journey has only just begun, and the mysteries ahead are vast, ancient, and deeply beautiful. Have you ever looked at the empty space between your own two hands and wondered what exactly separates you from the rest of the universe? We live our daily lives entirely convinced by the illusion of separation. We believe that we are isolated entities, bounded by our skin, moving through a world of disconnected objects. You look at a tree, a mountain, or the distant glow of the moon, and your brain immediately categorizes them as something other, something distinctly separate from your own existence. This feeling of isolation is perhaps the most defining characteristic of the modern human experience. But as we peel back the layers of reality, venturing deeper into the microscopic heart of matter, we discover a scientific paradox that completely shatters this illusion of separation. The deeper we look into the fundamental building blocks of the cosmos, the more we realize that separation is merely a trick of the mind, a necessary illusion for biological survival, but a complete fiction on the grand stage of reality. The universe, in its most ancient and fundamental state, is profoundly and inextricably connected. As we continue this quiet journey into the mysteries of existence, I want to gently remind you that I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply grateful to share this space of wonder with you. If you are finding comfort and intellectual peace in these contemplative explorations, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the individuals who wander into our quiet corner of the internet have not yet subscribed. Doing so helps us keep this gentle journey alive, allowing us to explore the vast, endless silence of the cosmos together, building a community of curious minds dedicated to understanding the deeper truths of our universe. Now, let us return to that illusion of separation and the incredible science that disproves it. In the early decades of the 20th century, the world of physics underwent a revolution that challenged everything humanity thought it knew about the natural world. Brilliant minds were uncovering the bizarre rules of quantum mechanics, a realm where particles can exist in multiple places at once, and reality seems to wait for an observer before deciding how to behave. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery of all was a phenomenon that Albert Einstein famously referred to as spooky action at a distance. Today, we call it quantum entanglement. Imagine taking two particles, perhaps two photons of light, and creating them at the exact same moment in a specific laboratory setup because they are born from the same event. They share a fundamental mathematical relationship. They become entangled. This means that the physical properties of one particle are deeply woven into the physical properties of the other, acting as a single entity regardless of distance. Now, imagine taking these two entangled particles and separating them. You keep one here on Earth, carefully isolated in a vacuum chamber, and you send the other one on a journey across the infinite dark, carrying it on a spacecraft that travels for thousands of years until it reaches the distant Andromeda galaxy, over 2 million light-years away. According to the traditional laws of physics, the laws established by Isaac Newton and championed by our everyday intuition, these two particles are now completely independent. They are separated by a vast, incomprehensible ocean of silence and empty space. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, which means that a message sent from the particle on Earth would take over 2 million years to reach its partner in Andromeda. Therefore, nothing that happens to the particle on Earth should be able to instantly affect the particle in that distant galaxy. But the universe is far more mysterious and far more beautiful than our traditional intuition allows. In the 1960s, a brilliant physicist named John Bell proposed a mathematical theorem to test this exact scenario. And in the decades that followed, scientists like Alain Aspect, John Clauser, and Anton Zeilinger conducted rigorous, groundbreaking experiments to prove it. For this profound work, they were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in the year 2022. Their experiments demonstrated a truth that is almost impossible for the human brain to fully grasp. If you measure the spin of the particle here on Earth, observing whether it points up or down, the entangled particle in the Andromeda galaxy will instantly assume the corresponding state. Not a second later, not a year later, not 2 million years later. Instantly. The reaction happens in 0 time. This breaks the ultimate speed limit of the cosmos. It implies that on some fundamental, underlying level of reality, the space between the two particles does not exist. The vast, cold distance of 2 million light-years is rendered completely meaningless. The two particles are not communicating across the void. They are, in a very real mathematical sense, still part of the same unified system. They share a single, unbroken reality that transcends the physical dimensions of space and time. This profound scientific truth forces us to completely reevaluate our understanding of the universe and our place within it. If particles that were once united remain forever connected, reacting instantly to the fate of their partners regardless of the vastness of space that separates them, what does that mean for us and our consciousness? Think about the origin of everything. Approximately 13,800,000,000 years ago, all the matter and energy in the entire universe was compressed into a single, unimaginably dense, infinitely hot point. Every single atom that currently makes up your body, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your DNA, was packed into that exact same microscopic singularity alongside the matter that now forms the most distant quasars, the swirling dust clouds of the Orion Nebula, and the supermassive black holes at the centers of ancient galaxies. In the beginning, everything was fundamentally unified. Everything was, by definition, entangled. And then the universe expanded, stretching out across billions of light years, cooling and forming the magnificent tapestry of stars and galaxies we see today. But If the principles of quantum entanglement hold true, the fundamental connection born in the first fraction of a second of the cosmos was never truly broken. We are walking, breathing collections of atoms that are still deeply entangled with the fabric of the universe. The legendary physicist Erwin Schrödinger, one of the founding fathers of quantum mechanics, recognized the profound philosophical implications of this science. He wrote deeply about the concept that consciousness cannot be plural, that the minds of all living things are ultimately an expression of a single universal mind. He looked at the scientific evidence of interconnectedness and found a bridge to ancient philosophy, suggesting that the illusion of separate, isolated egos is precisely that, an illusion born from our limited biological perspective. When we combine the strange reality of quantum entanglement with the concept of panpsychism, the idea that a proto-consciousness is a fundamental property of all matter, a breathtaking picture of the universe begins to emerge. The cosmos is not a collection of dead, disconnected parts bumping into each other randomly in the dark. It is a singular, continuous, deeply connected entity. The stillness you feel when you look up at the night sky is not the silence of a cold vacuum. It is the resonance of a unified system, a vast, gentle network of interconnected matter and energy that possesses its own profound, underlying awareness. The universe is a single, ancient organism, and you are not merely living inside of it. You are a vital, conscious expression of it, experiencing the beauty of its own creation. This realization offers a profound sense of peace. When you truly internalize the idea that you're fundamentally connected to the stars, to the planets, to the very fabric of space and time, the anxieties of everyday life begin to lose their grip. Your individual worries, the stresses of modern human existence, are placed into a deeply comforting cosmic perspective. You are part of an ancient, infinite journey of discovery. Every time you seek to understand the mystery of the cosmos is seeking to understand itself. Every time you feel a moment of gentle wonder, the universe is experiencing its own magnificence. The silence of the night is not something to fear. It is a quiet invitation to remember your true origin, to recognize that you are made of the very same ancient material that illuminates the farthest reaches of the galactic void. As you close your eyes and let the quiet of the night envelop you, try to feel this invisible connection. You do not end where your physical body ends. Your fundamental essence is woven into the endless dark, entangled with the furthest reaches of space and time. You are part of an ancient, infinite journey of self-discovery. You are the universe, sitting perfectly still, contemplating its own magnificent reflection. There is a deep, profound comfort in this knowledge. It tells us that no matter how small we might feel, no matter how brief our human lives may be, we belong to something eternal. We belong to the quiet, majestic mystery of the cosmos, an ongoing story of light, matter, and mind that has been unfolding for billions of years, patiently waiting for us to wake up and notice the incredible beauty of our shared existence. Have you ever sat quietly in a room, listening to the rhythmic, unyielding ticking of a clock, and felt a sudden, profound awareness of time slipping through your fingers? We experience time as a relentless river constantly carrying us away from the past and pushing us into an unknown future. You watch a beautiful sunset, and even as you admire its brilliant colors, you feel a gentle ache, knowing that it will soon fade into darkness. Our human lives are entirely defined by this linear progression, a sequence of fleeting moments that arrive, briefly exist, and then vanish forever into memory. We build our entire understanding of reality upon the assumption that the present moment is the only thing that is truly real, that the past is gone, and that the future is merely a blank canvas waiting to be painted. But what if this deeply ingrained perception of time is nothing more than a biological illusion, a necessary trick played by our minds to help us navigate a universe that is fundamentally timeless? What if, on a cosmic scale, time does not flow at all, but simply exists, vast, infinite, and perfectly still? Before we step outside the familiar flow of time and into the eternal stillness of the cosmos, I want to gently welcome you once more. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound privilege to share these quiet moments of discovery with you. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the beautiful minds who watch these videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these contemplative journeys bring you a sense of peace and a deeper connection to the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps our community grow immensely and ensures that we can continue to explore these vast ancient mysteries together. Now, let us leave the ticking clocks behind and look at time through the eyes of the cosmos. In the early 20th century, Albert Einstein completely dismantled our intuitive understanding of time with his theory of relativity. Before Einstein, humanity viewed time as a universal background clock, ticking at the exact same rate for everyone and everything, everywhere in the universe. But Einstein proved that time is not absolute. It is entirely relative. It is a physical dimension woven together with the three dimensions of space into a single, flexible fabric called space-time. And just like space, time can be stretched, compressed, and warped. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. If you were to travel on a spacecraft moving close to the speed of light for what felt to you like 5 years, you might return to Earth to find that 50 years had passed for everyone you left behind. Your present moment and their present moment would have completely fractured, proving that there is no universal moment of now. But the implications of relativity go far deeper than high-speed space travel. The mathematics of space-time suggest a concept that physicists call the block universe. Imagine a massive, solid block of glass. In this block, every single event that has ever happened is happening right now, or will ever happen in the future is permanently embedded. The Big Bang, the formation of the Earth, the exact moment you are listening to these words, and the eventual fading of the last star are all equally real and exist simultaneously within this block. In the block universe, time does not pass. It is our consciousness, our specific human perspective, that moves through the block, illuminating one slice of it at a time and calling it the present. The great physicist Hermann Weyl once beautifully described this, saying that the objective world simply is. It does not happen. Only to the gaze of our consciousness, crawling upward along the lifeline of our body, does a section of this world come to life as a fleeting image in space, which continuously changes in time. If the objective universe simply is, and time does not flow, what does this mean for our concept of a conscious universe? When we view the cosmos not as a cold, mechanical void, but as a deeply entangled, underlying awareness, the block universe takes on a breathtaking new meaning. A universal consciousness would not experience time as a series of stressful passing moments. It would not mourn the past or fear the future. It would experience all of time simultaneously as a single, magnificent, completed masterpiece. The ancient primordial silence of the cosmos is not the silence of waiting. It is the perfect stillness of an awareness that already encompasses all of eternity. It is the deep, undisturbed peace of knowing the entire story from beginning to end. held all at once in a single, infinite thought. And here is the most beautiful part of this realization. If you are a fundamental part of this conscious universe, if you are the cosmos experiencing itself, then a part of you also belongs to this eternal stillness. Every moment of joy you've ever experienced, every quiet night you have spent looking up at the stars, every gentle breath you take, these moments do not simply vanish into nothingness when they are over. They are permanently etched into the fabric of space-time. They exist forever in the block universe. You do not need to hold on to them so tightly, terrified that they will slip away, because from the perspective of the cosmos, they are immortal. The illusion of passing time causes us so much pain, so much anxiety about aging, losing loved ones, and eventually facing our own end. But when you step back and view reality through the lens of a unified, conscious space-time, that fear begins to dissolve into a gentle, quiet peace. Let us take a journey of perspective. Imagine zooming out from your current position, leaving the room, leaving the earth, and floating into the deep, dark void of our solar system. You watch the planets orbiting the sun, but instead of seeing them moving, you see their entire orbits at once, like giant, glowing rings of solid light. You zoom out further, seeing the entire Milky Way galaxy, not as a spinning pinwheel, but as a vast static sculpture of starlight, a fossil of energy suspended in the dark. You see the entire lifespan of a star, from the moment a cloud of gas collapses to the final, brilliant flash of a supernova, happening all at once. A single, beautiful flower of energy forever blooming in the cosmic garden. This is the perspective of eternity. This is how a universal mind, untethered by the slow, crawling focus of a biological brain, might perceive the cosmos. It is a place of profound, ultimate stillness. When we observe the universe with our telescopes, we are already looking back in time. Because light takes time to travel, the stars we see in the night sky are ghosts of the past. When you look at the Andromeda galaxy, you are seeing it as it was over 2 million years ago. But in a conscious, deeply entangled block universe, that light is not just a delayed physical signal. It is a thread of awareness connecting different coordinates of space-time. The universe is communicating with itself across the illusion of time, weaving the past, present, and future into a single, unified experience. Our human consciousness acts as a tiny, focused lens, taking this massive, eternal reality and breaking it down into manageable, chronological pieces so that we can function, learn, and grow. Our perception of time passing is a tool, a necessary filter for biological existence, but it is not the ultimate truth of reality. To realize that time is an illusion is to liberate yourself from the heavy burden of regret and anticipation. It allows you to sink deeply into the current moment, not because it is the only thing that exists, but because it is the specific coordinate of eternity that you are currently assigned to illuminate. You are the universe's focal point. Right here, right now, the infinite cosmos is using your eyes, your ears, and your mind to experience this exact, unique slice of its own existence. The gentle rustle of leaves outside your window, the quiet rhythm of your breathing, the soft glow of a screen in a dark room. These are not trivial, fleeting occurrences. They are eternal, beautiful details in the cosmic masterpiece, and you are the one bringing them to life through your awareness. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by the rushing river of time, the next time you feel the anxiety of deadlines, the fear of growing older, or the simple, quiet melancholy of a fading day, Remember the vast, ancient stillness of the block universe. Remember that you are deeply, inextricably entangled with a cosmos that does not rush, that does not end, and that holds every single moment in a perfect, eternal embrace. Close your eyes and feel the quiet, majestic peace of eternity. Feel the gentle, supportive weight of a universe that has already arrived, a universe that is simply resting in the magnificent beauty of its own eternal existence. There is nowhere you need to rush to. There is nothing you have truly lost. Everything is exactly where it has always been, and where it will always be, held safely in the endless, quiet memory of the cosmos. Have you ever reached out your hand to touch the rough bark of an ancient oak tree, or pressed your palm against a cold stone wall, and found yourself marveling at the absolute firmness of the physical world? We navigate our human lives dependent upon the reliability of solid objects. The chair beneath you supports your weight, the floor holds you steady, and the cup in your hand contains the water you need. Your brain processes these countless physical interactions and concludes with absolute certainty that the universe is filled with dense, impenetrable matter. This ingrained sense of solidity provides us with a profound feeling of security, creating a comforting boundary between what constitutes our own bodies and the vast outside world. But what if this reassuring firmness is yet another magnificent cosmic illusion? What if the solid world you interact with every single day is, in objective scientific reality, almost entirely composed of empty space and ghostly vibrations? When we find the courage to peer into the deepest microscopic architecture of reality, the concept of solid matter dissolves completely. It reveals a universe that is far more phantom-like, beautifully fluid, and deeply interconnected than our limited biological senses could ever possibly perceive. Before we dive deeply into this ghostly, vibrating reality of the quantum realm and explore the breathtaking emptiness that makes up your very own body, I want to take a gentle pause to welcome you once more. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am profoundly honored to walk beside you on this quiet, meditative journey of cosmic discovery. I have noticed recently that roughly 71% of the gentle souls who find their way into this contemplative space and watch these videos have not yet subscribed to our channel. If these quiet explorations of science and philosophy help you find a sense of inner peace, and if they grant you a deeper connection to the infinite universe, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. Your presence helps our community grow immensely, ensuring that we can continue to share this journey of wonder and explore the vast, beautiful mysteries of the cosmos together, step by step. Now, let us return to the fascinating illusion of the solid world and the staggering emptiness hidden within it. For centuries, the greatest minds of human history believed that if you were to take any piece of matter and divide it into progressively smaller pieces, you would eventually reach a fundamental, indivisible building block. They imagined a tiny, hard sphere that constituted the ultimate base unit of all physical reality. The ancient Greek philosophers named this theoretical concept the atom, meaning indivisible. But in the early years of the 20th century, a brilliant physicist named Ernest Rutherford conducted a series of elegant experiments that shattered this classical view of reality forever. Rutherford discovered that the atom is not a solid sphere at all. Instead, it consists of a microscopic, unfathomably dense central point called the nucleus, surrounded by a diffuse, ghostly cloud of negative electrons orbiting at relatively astronomical distances. To understand the staggering scale of this internal emptiness, Imagine expanding a single hydrogen atom until its nucleus is exactly the size of a glass marble sitting in the very center of a massive professional sports stadium. In this magnified scale, the corresponding electron would be nothing more than a tiny, almost invisible speck of dust flying around the highest seats in the grandstands. Everything located between that marble and that speck of dust is absolutely, undeniably empty space. When you gather the courage to apply this astonishing mathematical reality to the macroscopic world, the results are deeply, wonderfully counterintuitive. Every single physical object you see around you, every towering mountain range, every deep blue ocean, every blazing star, and every delicate living cell inside your own biological body is composed of atoms that are exactly 99.999999% empty space. This is not a poetic metaphor. It is the rigorously tested truth of our physical reality. If you possessed the technology to remove all of the empty space from the atoms of every single human being alive on Earth today, all 8 billion of us could be compressed into a physical volume smaller than a single ordinary sugar cube. The solid, heavy chair you're sitting on right now is practically a ghost. The screen you're currently looking at is a phantom of energy. The reason your hand does not pass straight through a solid wooden table is not because the table is filled with dense matter. Rather, it is because the invisible electromagnetic force fields generated by the outermost electrons in your hand are violently repelling the fields generated by the outermost electrons in the table. What your brain interprets as the sensation of physical touch is actually the feeling of invisible magnetic repulsion happening across a vast microscopic void. As we descend even further into modern physics, the ancient mystery deepens to a breathtaking level. Through the lens of an extraordinarily beautiful mathematical framework known as quantum field theory, even the tiny subatomic particles themselves completely lose their status as solid, independent objects. According to this highly tested, universally accepted scientific theory, the universe is not filled with tiny, physical billiard balls bouncing off one another. Instead, the entire cosmos is filled with invisible, continuous, fluid-like entities called fields that permeate absolutely all of space and time. There is a universal electron field, a universal quark field, an electromagnetic field, and many others, all overlapping and stretching infinitely across the universe. What our instruments detect as a solid particle is simply a highly localized vibration, a tiny, fleeting ripple or energetic excitation within its underlying, invisible field. Just as an ocean wave is not a separate object from the ocean itself, but rather a temporary dynamic movement of the water, a subatomic particle is not a separate object from the universe. It is merely a temporary, harmonic vibration of the universal field. When we finally understand that all matter, including our own bodies, is simply a complex collection of vibrating fields, the cosmos completely transforms in our minds. It shifts from being a silent, mechanical structure into a dynamic, flowing, endless symphony of energy. Every giant star that burns in the distant dark, every rocky planet that orbits in the cold, and every single breath you take is an exquisitely complex harmony of quantum vibrations resonating across the infinite dark. And it is precisely here, in this musical, fluid reality, that the profound concept of a conscious universe becomes even more philosophically coherent. If the universe is fundamentally a symphony of interlocking energy fields, perhaps consciousness itself is the most fundamental frequency of all. Perhaps the subjective experience of awareness is not an accidental byproduct created by the meaningless arrangement of solid particles, but a foundational resonance that exists deeply within the quantum fields themselves. The quiet, inexplicable peace you feel when contemplating the scattered stars of the Milky Way might simply be your own localized vibrations tuning into the grand universal frequency of the cosmos. You are not a solid, heavy, isolated mass of biological material separated from the rest of existence by a thick layer of skin. You are a highly organized, beautifully fragile pattern of quantum vibrations, temporarily holding a specific, recognizable shape in the great churning ocean of the universe. The hard boundaries you feel between yourself and the outside world are biological illusions generated by electromagnetic resistance. In absolute objective truth, your quantum fields overlap and interact seamlessly with the fields of the air you breathe, the ground you walk upon, and the ancient light of galaxies raining down upon you. You are a completely permeable, profoundly open system of energy dancing endlessly in a vast universe of energy. When you begin to internalize this profound scientific reality, a deep, comforting sense of lightness and psychological freedom washes over you. You realize that you are no longer trapped inside a rigid, easily broken shell. You are a fluid, vibrant, continuous expression of the cosmos, seamlessly integrated into the great, gentle rhythm of all existence. Allow the deeply comforting reality of this internal emptiness to settle gently into your mind. When you inevitably feel the exhausting weight of the modern world pressing down upon your shoulders, when your daily burdens and anxieties seem far too solid and heavy to bear, remember the profound scientific truth of your own fundamental structure. Remember that exactly 99.999999% of what you consider to be a heavy physical burden is entirely empty space. The interpersonal struggles, the deep-seated anxieties, and the rigid defensive walls we build around our hearts are, at their core, just temporary shifting patterns of energy. Because you are made of open space and fluid fields, you have the incredible freedom to release that tension, to soften the boundaries of your perceived reality, and to let the ancient peace of the cosmos flow straight through your open, vibrating form. You are an infinite mystery walking the earth, a beautiful harmony of interacting quantum fields, uniquely capable of looking up into the night sky and wondering about its own existence. The vast silence of the universe is the perfect canvas upon which your energetic life is painted. Embrace the connecting emptiness that binds you intimately to everything that has ever been created. Rest peacefully in the sure scientific knowledge that you are a vital, resonant chord in the eternal symphony of the cosmos, playing your unique part perfectly in the magnificent masterpiece of existence. Have you ever sat quietly beside a dying fire, watching the bright, dancing flames slowly fade into glowing embers and finally dissolve into cold, gray ash? It is a deeply human experience to look at something that was once so vibrant, so full of heat and light, and feel a gentle melancholy when it ends. We apply this same perception to our own lives and to the lives of those we love so deeply. We view existence as a fragile, temporary spark that flickers briefly in the dark before being extinguished forever. This profound fear of the end, the fear of losing our identity and dissolving into absolute nothingness, is the heaviest burden we carry through our human experience. But what if this terrifying finality is yet another magnificent illusion born from our limited biological perspective? What if the universe, in its infinite ancient wisdom, does not know how to destroy anything at all? When we look closely at the fundamental laws of physics, the concept of a true ending completely vanishes, replaced by a breathtaking story of eternal transformation. Before we explore the comforting science of eternity and the indestructible nature of your existence, I want to gently welcome you once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply honored that you have chosen to walk this quiet path of discovery with me. I have noticed that roughly 71% of the kind souls who watch these videos have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find peace and wonder in these cosmic journeys, please consider subscribing. It helps our community grow immensely, allowing us to continue exploring the vast, endless silence and the beautiful mystery of the universe together. Now, let us return to the dying fire and the profound scientific truth about what it means to reach the end. For centuries, human beings believed that things could simply cease to exist. A wooden log burns and disappears into smoke. A drop of water falls onto the hot desert sand and vanishes into nothingness. But in the 19th century, scientists formulated one of the most unbreakable laws in the entire history of physics, the first law of thermodynamics. This profound, mathematically proven law states, with absolute, unwavering certainty, that energy can never be created and it can never be destroyed. It can only change its form. When you watch that piece of wood burn, the heat and light do not vanish from reality. The energy that was trapped within the chemical bonds of the wood is simply released, radiating outward to warm the air, traveling as photons of light out into the vast atmosphere, and eventually escaping into the infinite dark of space. Every single fraction of energy is perfectly accounted for by the universe. The atoms of carbon and oxygen do not disappear. They transform into smoke and ash, rejoining the great churning cycle of the planet. But modern physics goes even deeper than the conservation of physical energy. In the bizarre, beautiful world of quantum mechanics, there is an even more profound principle known as the conservation of quantum information. According to the foundational rules that govern the microscopic universe, the fundamental information that describes a physical system can never, under any circumstances, be completely erased. Even if you were to take an encyclopedia containing all the knowledge of human history and throw it into a burning fire, the information written on those pages is not truly lost to the cosmos. It becomes incredibly disorganized, scrambled into the microscopic movements of the smoke particles, the radiated heat, and the leftover ash. But the fundamental quantum information remains permanently embedded in the fabric of reality. If you possessed a supercomputer with the processing power of a god, you could perfectly track every single photon, every single atom, and mathematically reconstruct the exact text of that burned book. The universe has a perfect, infallible memory. It never forgets a single detail. If the universe meticulously preserves the quantum information of a burning piece of wood, what does it do with the unimaginably complex information that constitutes your own conscious existence? You are the most incredibly organized system of information in the known cosmos. Your memories, your personality, the unique way you perceive the color blue, the gentle rhythm of your laugh, and the deep, quiet love you feel for others, these are all physical realities. They are encoded in the precise arrangement of billions of neurons, the subtle flow of neurotransmitters, and the complex, resonating patterns of quantum fields within your brain. According to the absolute laws of physics, this exquisite pattern of information cannot be completely destroyed. When a human life reaches its physical end, the energy that animated the body does not vanish into the void. It gently releases its hold, returning to the vast, vibrating ocean of the cosmos from which it originally emerged. When we blend this rigorous scientific reality with the philosophy of a conscious universe, the concept of death undergoes a radical, beautiful transformation. If the universe itself is fundamentally aware, if consciousness is the underlying fabric of all existence, then our individual lives are not isolated sparks burning out in the dark. We are tiny, localized ripples of awareness that briefly formed upon the surface of an infinite ocean. When the ripple finally settles, it does not die. It does not disappear into nothingness. It simply loses its temporary boundaries and returns to the immense, peaceful body of water. The drop of water slips back into the sea. The specific, unique pattern of information that made you who you are dissolves back into the universal mind, enriching the cosmos with the specific experiences, the learned lessons, and the quiet moments of wonder that you gathered during your brief, beautiful journey through the physical world. Your individual story is eternally woven into the grand unfolding narrative of the universe. This profound shift in perspective offers an incredible sense of relief. We spend so much of our lives terrified of the end, building rigid walls to protect our fragile identities, accumulating physical possessions to leave a temporary mark on the world, and agonizing over the inevitable loss of everything we hold dear. But when you truly understand that you are fundamentally indestructible, that your essential energy and your unique pattern of quantum information are eternally preserved by a universe that never forgets, that fear begins to gently wash away. You are not a stranger who briefly visited this world. You are a permanent, integral feature of the cosmos. The atoms that currently form your beating heart were forged billions of years ago in the nuclear furnaces of ancient, dying stars. When your journey here is complete, those same atoms will continue their cosmic voyage, perhaps one day, becoming part of a new star, a distant planet, or a new expression of life in a galaxy millions of light years away. You are ancient, you are infinite, and you are deeply, intimately safe within the grand structure of reality. As you rest in the quiet dark, let the peaceful truth of your own eternal nature settle over your mind like a warm, heavy blanket. The universe is not waiting to erase you. It is patiently waiting to welcome you back into its vast, loving embrace. The silence of the night is not the empty void of the end. It is the quiet, comforting presence of the eternal ocean, whispering that you have always belonged to it and that you will never truly be lost. Every breath you take is a temporary loan of ancient stardust, and every thought you have is a ripple in the infinite mind of reality. Release your tight grip on the fear of the end. Allow yourself to float peacefully in the gentle, carrying currents of the cosmos. The universe is a perfect, closed system of breathtaking beauty, and you are a vital, unforgettable masterpiece within it, perfectly conserved, deeply loved, and eternally remembered by the very fabric of space and time. Have you ever stood at the edge of a vast, calm ocean, or looked down from a great height, and felt a strange, inexplicable pull? We often move through our daily human lives, feeling as though we are entirely untethered, drifting through a chaotic and unpredictable world without a true anchor. We build sturdy houses, we construct endless paved roads, and we modify the earth beneath us, constantly trying to establish a deep sense of permanence and a comforting feeling of belonging. But the absolute most profound anchor in your entire life is entirely invisible to your eyes. It is a fundamental force so incredibly gentle that you barely even notice its constant presence. Yet it is so unimaginably powerful that it dictates the elegant, swirling motion of entire galaxies across the dark void. We call this invisible force gravity. From our earliest days in school, we are taught to think of gravity as a simple, mechanical attraction, a rigid, invisible rope tying the massive planets to the burning sun, and firmly tying our own fragile feet to the solid ground. But when we look at the universe through the highly refined lens of modern theoretical astrophysics, gravity reveals itself to be something far more beautiful, far more intimate, and deeply connected to the conscious fabric of reality. It is not a rigid rope at all. It is the gentle, yielding embrace of the cosmos itself, constantly holding you safe. Before we sink deeper into this comforting, invisible embrace and explore the profound scientific mysteries of the unseen forces that hold the universe together, I want to take a brief moment to gently welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a true joy to have you here by my side on this quiet, contemplative journey. I have noticed recently that roughly 71% of the beautiful people who find comfort in these explorations have not yet subscribed to our channel. If these quiet stories bring you a sense of inner peace and a much deeper connection to the ancient stars, please consider taking a moment to subscribe. It helps our community grow immensely, allowing us to continue this beautiful, ongoing journey into the infinite night together. Now, let us return to the gentle, invisible pull that grounds us to the spinning earth and connects our bodies to the farthest, darkest reaches of the cosmos. In the early years of the 20th century, the brilliant mind of Albert Einstein completely revolutionized humanity's understanding of gravity with his magnificent theory of general relativity. Before Einstein presented his equations to the world, the great Isaac Newton had described gravity as a mysterious, instantaneous pulling force, acting across vast distances of completely empty space. But Einstein possessed the profound genius to realize that space is not empty, and gravity is not a pull. He proposed, and scientists later proved with staggering accuracy, that space and time are inextricably woven together into a single, continuous, flexible, four-dimensional fabric called space-time. When a massive object, like a blazing star or a heavy, rocky planet, exists within this cosmic fabric, it does not reach out and pull on other distant objects. Instead, it gently curves the space-time around it, much like a heavy, dense bowling ball resting softly in the very center of a highly elastic trampoline. The planets that orbit our sun are not being dragged through the dark by an invisible chain. They are simply rolling along the natural curved contours of space-time created by the sun's massive, commanding presence. The Earth is not aggressively pulling you down. Rather, the immense mass of the Earth has deeply curved the space-time beneath your feet, and your body is simply following the natural, effortless path of that physical curvature. You are resting comfortably in a cosmic depression, held safely by the fundamental geometry of the universe. When we combine this beautiful, mathematically proven geometric reality with the deep philosophical concept of a conscious universe, gravity takes on an incredibly poetic and existential significance. It becomes the physical manifestation of the universe, recognizing itself and interacting with its own presence. Mass tells space-time exactly how to curve, and the curvature of space-time tells mass exactly how to move. It is a constant, incredibly intimate dialogue between physical matter and the invisible void, a silent, ongoing conversation happening continuously across billions of light years. Every single vibrating atom in your biological body is actively participating in this cosmic dialogue right now. Your physical form, no matter how incredibly small it may seem when compared to the vastness of a dying star, is creating its very own tiny, unique curvature in the absolute fabric of reality. You are literally bending the universe around you simply by the act of existing. The quiet peace you feel when you lie on your back in the soft grass and look up at the ancient sky is the profound physical sensation of being held by the yielding fabric of the cosmos. You are cradled deeply in the lap of space-time, safe, grounded, and intimately woven into the physical architecture of all existence. But the magnificent mystery of gravity goes even deeper than this, plunging us directly into one of the most magnificent and humbling puzzles in all of modern astrophysics. When astronomers point their powerful telescopes at the grand, spinning spirals of distant galaxies, they encounter a breathtaking mathematical impossibility that defies all standard logic. A galaxy like our very own Milky Way contains hundreds of billions of stars, all continuously orbiting the dense galactic center. According to the standard laws of gravity, based strictly on the matter, we can actually see the glowing stars, the swirling clouds of luminous gas, and the dark, thick dust lanes. The outer edges of these majestic galaxies are spinning far too quickly. They are rotating with such tremendous, terrifying velocity that they should logically tear themselves completely apart, violently flinging their billions of stars out into the cold, empty, intergalactic void. There is simply not enough visible mass, not enough normal glowing matter to generate the deep gravitational curvature required to hold these rapidly spinning islands of light together. And yet, they do not fly apart. They remain beautifully, perfectly intact, gracefully spinning in the dark silence for billions of years without losing their elegant shape. In the 1970s, a brilliant, pioneering astronomer named Vera Rubin meticulously observed and charted this strange rotational phenomenon, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that something vast and unseen was holding the galaxies together. Today, the scientific community calls this profound mystery dark matter. We do not know exactly what dark matter is made of. It does not interact with the electromagnetic spectrum. It does not reflect light. It does not absorb light. And it does not emit light. It is entirely invisible to our human eyes and perfectly hidden from our most advanced optical telescopes. And yet, scientists have calculated that it makes up roughly 85% of all the matter in the entire universe. The glowing stars and vibrant nebulas that we find so incredibly beautiful, the normal matter that makes up your body, the oceans of the earth, and absolutely everything you have ever seen or known, constitute a mere 15% of the physical substance of the cosmos. The universe is constructed primarily upon a massive, invisible scaffolding. Dark matter surrounds every single galaxy in a massive, unseen spherical halo, providing the exact amount of extra gravitational curvature necessary to keep the stars safely bound together in their elegant, ancient cosmic dance. This staggering, humbling scientific reality offers a profound philosophical lesson about the fundamental nature of our own existence and the hidden depths of human consciousness. Just like the glowing, beautiful galaxies, we humans are completely mesmerized by the things we can clearly see. We focus almost all of our daily attention on the bright, tangible aspects of our lives, our physical appearance in the mirror, our accumulated material possessions, our spoken words, and our visible, easily measured achievements in society. We judge ourselves and we judge others based almost entirely on this tiny, luminous fraction of reality. But just like the vast universe, the absolute vast majority of who you truly are is entirely unseen. Beneath the surface of your conscious waking thoughts, beneath the carefully constructed persona you present to the outside world, lies a massive, invisible halo of subconscious depth, ancient intuition, and profound, unspoken emotion. This internal psychological dark matter is what truly holds your mental galaxy together. It is the invisible, quiet gravity of your own soul that keeps you deeply grounded, gently preventing the chaotic, rapidly spinning events of your daily life from tearing your mind apart. When we deeply recognize that the universe relies heavily on invisible, silent forces to maintain its majestic structure, we can finally learn to trust the invisible forces residing within ourselves. You do not need to constantly see or consciously understand every single aspect of your own mind to know that it is functioning perfectly. The deep, quiet intuition that gently guides you when you are lost in life, the sudden, inexplicable feeling of peace that washes over you during a very difficult moment, the profound, wordless connection you feel when you simply stand in silence with someone you deeply love. These are the gravitational pulls of your own internal dark matter. They are the unseen foundational currents of a conscious universe flowing through your specific, localized biological form. The cosmos is vast, infinite, and mostly hidden from our biological senses, yet it functions with a mathematical elegance and a silent precision that is absolutely breathtaking. You are a microscopic mirror of that exact same reality. You are incredibly complex, deeply mysterious, and perfectly held together by natural forces you do not need to fully comprehend in order to completely trust. As you rest in the quiet, meditative stillness of the night, allow yourself to physically feel the gentle, persistent pull of the earth beneath you. Do not think of it as a harsh, mechanical force tying you down, but as the soft, yielding fabric of ancient space-time gently curving to hold you safely in place. You are resting completely secure in the permanent, eternal embrace of the universe. Just as the massive, invisible halo of dark matter patiently holds the trillions of stars in the distant Andromeda galaxy, preventing them from flying out into the cold void, the unseen depths of your own consciousness, deeply connected to the infinite awareness of the cosmos, are holding you safely together. You are not floating aimlessly through a cold, indifferent machine. You are deeply anchored in the ancient, intelligent geometry of reality. Let go of the desperate, exhausting need to see and understand every single moving part of your life. Surrender your weight to the quiet mystery of the night. Trust the invisible scaffolding of the universe, and trust the unseen, magnificent depths of your own mind. The cosmos is a quiet, ancient sanctuary, a place of infinite wonder, profound silence, and perfect, eternal balance, and you are resting perfectly safe within its deepest, most invisible embrace. Have you ever stood beneath the open sky on a perfectly clear, moonless night, completely overwhelmed by a sudden, breathtaking sense of your own physical insignificance? We look up at the ancient, sprawling band of the Milky Way, stretching like a river of spilled light across the dark heavens, and our human brains, evolved to understand the small, safe distances of our immediate terrestrial environment, simply collapse under the crushing weight of cosmic proportions. We are biologically conditioned to measure our worth and our power by physical size, by territory, and by visible dominance. Consequently, when we are confronted with the endless, silent void of space, we automatically feel incredibly small, intensely fragile, and utterly meaningless in the face of the infinite dark. But what if this deeply unsettling feeling of insignificance is merely a trick of biological perspective? What if physical size, volume, and mass are actually the least important metrics in the entire magnificent architecture of the universe? What if the quiet, invisible presence of your own consciousness is far more massive and far more significant than the largest, most violently burning galaxy in the cosmos? Before we venture further into this profound cosmic mystery and gently dismantle the intimidating illusion of physical scale, I want to take a brief, quiet moment to welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am deeply honored to be your guide on this peaceful, contemplative journey through the wonders of the universe. I have noticed recently that roughly 71% of the gentle souls who wander into this quiet space and watch these videos have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a sense of deep wonder in these cosmic explorations, please consider taking a moment to subscribe. It helps our community grow immensely and ensures that we can continue this shared, endless journey into the infinite night together. Now, let us return to the quiet dark of the night sky and completely re-examine our profound place within the staggering, ancient scale of the cosmos. To truly understand and ultimately transcend the illusion of physical scale, we must first find the courage to confront the absolute, staggering vastness of the universe that surrounds our tiny, fragile planet. For the vast majority of human history, we looked up at the band of the Milky Way and confidently believed that it constituted the entirety of creation. We now know, thanks to the tireless work of brilliant astronomers and the incredible magnifying power of modern space telescopes, that our galaxy, with its hundreds of billions of ancient burning stars, is just one single, unremarkable island floating in a cosmic ocean that contains over 2 trillion other galaxies. Deep in the direction of the constellation of Virgo, sitting quietly at the gravitational center of a massive cluster of galaxies, lies a true cosmic monster, an elliptical galaxy catalogued as IC 1101. This single magnificent structure is roughly 4 to 6 million light years across. It is so unimaginably massive that if you placed it exactly where our Milky Way currently sits, it would completely swallow the neighboring Andromeda galaxy and all of the dozens of surrounding dwarf galaxies in a single, silent, inescapable embrace. The sheer numbers associated with this distant giant are enough to bring a profound, humbling silence to the mind. Scientists estimate that IAC 1101 contains roughly 100 trillion stars. If you were to start counting those stars, counting just one single star every passing second, and you never stop to eat or sleep, it would take you well over 3 million years just to finish counting. When we confront numbers of this staggering magnitude, numbers that require more time to count than modern human beings have even existed on the earth, it is entirely natural for our minds to retreat. It is completely understandable to feel as though our individual brief human lives are nothing more than a meaningless, microscopic anomaly in a cold, indifferent cosmic machine. The distances are so vast that light itself takes over 1 billion years just to carry the image of IC 1101 to our delicate telescope lenses. We are looking at a ghost, a picture of the deep past, separated from us by an ocean of time and space so wide that our brains simply cannot hold the concept. But the universe is a masterpiece of exquisite, terrifying balance, And the grand cosmic scale is only exactly one half of the entire physical story. Just as the cosmos stretches outward into the infinite, mind-bending dark, it also stretches inward into an equally vast, equally baffling microscopic wilderness. When we peer deep into the fundamental structure of the matter that makes up your very own biological body, we discover a universe of the extremely small that is just as deep and just as mysterious as the universe of the extremely large. Below the intricate folding architecture of protein molecules, below the rapidly orbiting electrons and the unfathomably dense nuclei of individual atoms, lies the bizarre, shifting, fluid realm of quantum mechanics. At the absolute, foundational bottom of this microscopic descent, we reach a measurement known as the Planck length. This is the absolute smallest possible measurement of space permitted by the fundamental laws of physics, a distance so incredibly tiny that the very concepts of physical size and spatial dimension completely lose all of their mathematical and philosophical meaning. To help the human mind put this invisible microscopic world into some kind of understandable perspective, imagine if a single tiny atom were magically magnified to be the exact size of the entire visible universe. On that staggering, impossible scale, the Planck length would be roughly the size of an average, ordinary tree standing in a quiet forest. When physicists map the entire spectrum of physical size, from the smallest possible quantum fluctuation to the largest possible boundary of the observable universe, a breathtaking mathematical truth is revealed. You, as a living, breathing human being, exist perfectly and elegantly, balanced precisely halfway between the absolute largest things in the universe and the absolute smallest things in the universe. In terms of logarithmic mathematical scale, the human body is the exact central bridge connecting the infinite macrocosm to the infinite microcosm. You are not hovering meaninglessly at the insignificant bottom of the universe. You are standing perfectly in its absolute center. When you deeply realize that you sit at the exact mathematical center of the cosmic scale, the profound philosophical implications begin to gently wash over your mind. The universe, in its foundational reality, does not place any inherent value on physical size or massive volume. A giant elliptical galaxy like IC1101 may possess 100 trillion stars, but those stars are entirely, profoundly blind to their own magnificent existence. They are massive, churning furnaces radiating enormous amounts of heat and light into the void, but they do not know that they are shining. They cannot feel the gentle warmth of their own radiation. A rock that is the exact size of an entire gas giant planet is still just a silent, unfeeling rock drifting blindly through the cold vacuum of space. Physical mass and spatial dimension are absolutely meaningless without a conscious observer to witness them, to mathematically measure them, and to find deep emotional beauty within them. Your individual consciousness does not take up any physical space at all. It is completely dimensionless, yet it has the magnificent capacity to hold the entire image of a billion light-year-wide galaxy safely inside a single thought. The brilliant astronomer Carl Sagan famously observed that the cosmos is within us, that we are quite literally made of star stuff, and that we are a way for the universe to know itself. The heavy atoms of carbon, oxygen, and iron in your eyes, the complex neural networks in your brain, were all painstakingly forged in the violent cores of ancient dying stars billions of years ago. The universe spent 13,800,000,000 years quietly expanding and blindly churning matter in the dark, slowly building the necessary biological complexity required to finally wake up and open its eyes to the light. You are those exact eyes. You are the ancient, infinite universe finally looking back at its own magnificent reflection. So, the next time you feel completely crushed by the staggering weight of vast cosmic distances, remember the absolute truth of your fundamental nature. Your conscious existence is the absolute pinnacle of cosmic evolution. As you close your eyes and let the peaceful silence of the deep night envelop you, consciously release the heavy illusion of physical insignificance. You are an infinite, eternal mind, holding the entire, breathtaking universe perfectly within the quiet space of your own brilliant thoughts. Have you ever stood in a completely silent room and felt the sudden, almost overwhelming weight of the empty air pressing against your skin? We humans are biologically wired to crave density, to surround ourselves with objects, with noise, and with the constant, reassuring presence of other living beings. We build crowded cities to push away the dark, filling our days with endless activity to avoid facing the profound silence beneath the surface of our busy lives. When we step outside our crowded world and look up at the night sky, the sheer amount of empty space between the stars can feel terrifying. We look at our nearest stellar neighbor, a small red dwarf star named Proxima Centauri. Learning it sits an incredible 4.24 light years away from our own sun. To put that immense, silent distance into perspective, if you shrank our massive sun down to the precise size of a single grain of sand, Proxima Centauri would be another tiny grain of sand sitting over 4 miles away. The vast space stretching between those two tiny grains is essentially a complete void, containing only the faintest whisper of gas and the occasional particle of cosmic radiation drifting through the endless dark. Our instinct views this staggering emptiness as a cold, hostile wasteland. But what if this vast cosmic emptiness is not an absence at all? What if the profound, silent dark is actually the most active, mysterious, and deeply conscious presence in the entire universe? Before we venture deeper into this profound, invisible ocean of space and completely redefine our understanding of the cosmic void, I want to gently pause and welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am profoundly honored to be your companion on this quiet, meditative journey through the greatest mysteries of existence. I have noticed recently that roughly 71% of the curious souls who find their way into this peaceful space and watch these videos have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find intellectual comfort and a deep, resonant peace in these quiet explorations of the universe, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. It helps our community grow immensely, ensuring that we can continue this shared, endless journey into the beautiful, infinite night together. Now, let us return to the staggering emptiness of the cosmos and discover the invisible, breathing force that secretly binds all of reality together. For the vast majority of human history, as our ancestors looked up at the glowing, milky band of starlight stretching across the dark heavens, they naturally assumed that our own Milky Way galaxy constituted the absolute entirety of the universe. It was not until the 1920s that a brilliant astronomer named Edwin Hubble pointed a massive telescope equipped with a 100-inch mirror toward the heavens and changed our cosmic perspective forever. He proved that the faint, fuzzy smudges of light, long debated by astronomers, were not simply clouds of gas floating within our own galaxy. They were entirely separate galaxies, magnificent island universes in their own right, each containing billions of their very own ancient, burning stars. Suddenly, The universe expanded in the human mind by orders of magnitude that are still difficult to fully comprehend. Today, using incredibly sensitive instruments, astronomers confidently estimate there are roughly 2 trillion magnificent galaxies scattered across the observable universe. 2 trillion. That is a 2 followed by 12 zeros, an astronomical number so profoundly large it simply stops possessing any tangible meaning to our terrestrial human brains. And between every one of these glowing islands of starlight lies an incomprehensible ocean of silent, empty space. The most beautiful and mysterious secret of this vast cosmic emptiness was only just recently discovered. For decades, the greatest minds in astrophysics assumed that the collective gravitational pull of all those 2 trillion galaxies would act exactly like a massive cosmic brake. They believed, with deep logical conviction, that the gravitational attraction of all matter in the universe would slowly, gently pull everything back together, eventually slowing the massive expansion that originally began with the Big Bang. But in the year 1998, 2 independent teams of astronomers made a discovery so shocking, so unexpected, they initially believed their own meticulous calculations had to be flawed. By observing the brilliant flashes of distant supernovas, they discovered that the expansion of the universe is not slowing down at all. It is actually speeding up. Distant galaxies are moving away from us faster than closer ones, and the overall rate of cosmic expansion is accelerating with every passing second. Something completely invisible, utterly unknown to classical physics, is actively pushing the very fabric of space itself apart, acting as a magnificent cosmic anti-gravity. Scientists have named this mysterious force dark energy. We cannot physically see dark energy. We cannot capture it in a laboratory. And we do not even truly understand what it is made of or where it comes from. Yet, rigorous mathematical calculations reveal that it makes up roughly 68% of all the energy in the entire universe. The ordinary matter that we can see, the glowing stars, swirling planets, and your very own biological body constitutes only a tiny, almost negligible fraction of cosmic reality. When you look up into the seemingly empty spaces between the distant stars, you're not looking at nothing. You're looking directly into the dominant, driving force of the cosmos. The emptiness is not a void. It is a profound, dynamic presence. It is the invisible breath of the universe, gently, continuously expanding the magnificent canvas of reality. If the universe is a singular, deeply conscious entity, as the ancient philosophy of panpsychism beautifully suggests, then this continuous expansion is not a terrifying process of isolation. It is a slow, deeply meditative inhalation. The cosmos is quietly breathing in, stretching its vast, invisible limbs, creating more beautiful, open space for the gentle dance of quantum fields to endlessly play out. We are taught by earthly experiences to view distance as an unfortunate barrier, a sad separation between things we deeply love. When we think about the expanding universe, we might feel a gentle melancholy, imagining a distant future where galaxies have drifted so far apart they completely vanish behind a dark cosmic horizon forever beyond our biological reach. But from the timeless, non-local perspective of a fully conscious cosmos, physical distance is entirely an illusion. Remember the beautiful, proven science of quantum entanglement. The particles forged together in the brilliant fire of the Big Bang remain forever connected, reacting instantly to one another, regardless of the millions of light years of empty space supposedly separating them. The physical expansion of the universe does not sever this deep foundational quantum connection. As the dark energy gently pushes galaxies further apart, it merely stretches the invisible threads of entanglement without ever breaking them. The universe is growing larger, but it is not becoming any less unified. It remains a single, perfectly unbroken thought. Let this profound realization change the way you interact with the quiet, empty spaces in your own life. When you encounter a moment of deep silence, when you feel the absence of noise or immediate company, do not rush to frantically fill it with distraction. Do not fear the empty room or the quiet night. The silence you are experiencing is a microscopic reflection of the great invisible dark energy that dominates the infinite cosmos. It is a space of pure, unbridled potential. It is the necessary quiet canvas upon which the beautiful music of your consciousness is gently painted. You are intimately surrounded by this dynamic, living emptiness, held safely within the expanding, meditative breath of the ancient universe. Just as the seemingly empty space between stars is brimming with the most powerful, dominant energy in all of existence, the quiet spaces in your own mind are filled with the profound, unseen presence of universal awareness. As you gently close your eyes, allow yourself to physically feel the slow, ancient expansion of the cosmos. Let go of your fear of the dark and anxiety about distance. You are not drifting entirely alone in a cold, expanding void. You are deeply, intimately entangled with every single fading star and every expanding pocket of silent space. You are a beautiful, necessary part of the great cosmic breath, eternally safe, connected, and at peace within the vast living architecture of the quiet night. Have you ever spent a quiet afternoon carefully trying to balance a small, delicate object, perhaps attempting to stand a thin coin perfectly upright on its narrow edge, or meticulously stacking smooth, water-worn stones beside a peacefully flowing river? You hold your breath, steady your hands, and make the most microscopic, gentle adjustments, acutely aware that even the absolute slightest tremor or the faintest whisper of the wind will send the entire fragile structure tumbling back down to the earth. It is a deeply satisfying, almost meditative human experience to find that absolute, perfect point of equilibrium, a fleeting moment where gravity, mass, and invisible physical forces all align in an exquisite, silent harmony. We marvel at the profound improbability of a perfectly balanced stack of stones, recognizing immediately that such delicate order does not simply arise from chaotic, random chance. It requires patience, intention, and a deeply focused awareness. Yet, when we look out at the magnificent, sprawling architecture of the cosmos, we are fundamentally conditioned by traditional materialist science to believe that the staggering, breathtaking order of the universe is nothing more than a wildly lucky accident. We are told that the fundamental laws of physics just happen to be the way they are, for no particular reason at all. But what if this assumption is a profound misunderstanding of reality? What if the universe is not a chaotic, random accident, but a structure so exquisitely, delicately balanced that it mathematically implies the presence of an underlying foundational intention? When we examine the most fundamental numerical constants of physics, the illusion of a blind, random cosmos shatters completely, revealing a universe that appears to have been meticulously, beautifully tuned for the precise purpose of waking up. Before we delve deeper into this breathtaking cosmic balance and explore the profound scientific mystery that physicists call the fine-tuning of the universe, I want to take a gentle, quiet moment to welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound honor to be your companion on this peaceful, contemplative journey through the greatest mysteries of existence. I have noticed recently that roughly 71% of the curious, gentle souls who find their way into this quiet space and watch these videos have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find intellectual comfort, a sense of deep safety, and a resonant inner peace in these quiet explorations of the cosmos, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. It helps our community grow immensely, ensuring that we can continue this shared, endless journey into the beautiful, infinite night together. Now, let us return to the staggering, delicate balance of physical reality and discover the invisible, conscious architecture that secretly holds the stars in the sky. In the middle of the 20th century, as theoretical physicists and astronomers began to truly understand the fundamental forces that govern the universe, they stumbled upon a mathematical realization that sent profound shockwaves through the scientific community. They discovered that the universe is governed by a specific set of fundamental numbers known as the physical constants. These include the precise strength of gravity, the mass of an electron, the exact power of the strong nuclear force that holds atomic nuclei together, and the cosmological constant that dictates the expansion of space. In the traditional scientific worldview, these numbers are arbitrary. They simply possess the values they possess without any deeper rhyme or reason. However, physicists soon began to run highly advanced mathematical simulations, asking a very simple, profound question. What would happen to the universe if we changed these fundamental numbers by just a tiny, microscopic fraction? The answers they uncovered were absolutely terrifying and deeply, profoundly beautiful. They discovered that the universe is balanced upon a mathematical razor's edge so incredibly thin that it defies all human comprehension. Let us first consider the immediate, violent aftermath of the Big Bang. Exactly 13,800,000,000 years ago, in the very first fraction of a second of existence, the infant universe was expanding outward with staggering, incomprehensible force, while the inward pull of gravity fought desperately to slow that expansion down. The balance between the outward explosive energy and the inward gravitational pull had to be perfect. If the rate of expansion had been slower by just 1 part in 1,000,000 billion, the gravitational pull of the concentrated matter would have overwhelmed the expansion. The entire universe would have quickly collapsed back in upon itself in a violent, catastrophic big crunch, long before any ancient stars or glowing galaxies could ever possibly form. Conversely, if the rate of expansion had been faster by that exact same microscopic, infinitesimally small margin, the matter of the universe would have flown apart so rapidly and so thinly that gas clouds could never have gathered. No stars would have ignited, no galaxies would have taken shape, and the cosmos would be an eternal, dead, freezing void of completely isolated particles. But the breathtaking balance of the universe does not stop at the grand, cosmic scale of the Big Bang. It reaches all the way down into the incredibly hot, pressurized, swirling cores of the stars themselves. Every single atom of carbon in your physical body, the very element that forms the foundational backbone of all known biology and allows complex life to exist, was forged in the nuclear furnaces of dying stars. The process of creating carbon requires 3 separate helium nuclei to collide and fuse together at almost the exact same microscopic instant. This is an incredibly unlikely, highly inefficient event. For decades, scientists could not mathematically explain how the universe managed to produce enough carbon to eventually form rocky planets and biological life. Then, a brilliant astronomer named Fred Hoyle made a profound, historically significant prediction. He calculated that for the universe to contain the abundance of carbon that we clearly observe, there had to be a very specific, perfectly tuned energy resonance within the carbon nucleus itself. Hoyle predicted that the carbon nucleus must have a resonant energy level positioned at precisely 7.65 million electron volts above its lowest energy state. If this specific microscopic resonance did not exist exactly where he calculated it should, the three helium nuclei would simply bounce off one another, carbon would never form, and the universe would be entirely devoid of life. Shortly after Hoyle made this bold prediction, nuclear physicists went into their laboratories and conducted rigorous experiments. They discovered that the resonance level exists precisely where Hoyle predicted it must be. If the strong nuclear force, the invisible glue that holds the atom together, were changed by just 0.1%, this delicate resonance would be completely destroyed. The stars would remain burning, but they would be entirely barren. They would never produce carbon. They would never produce oxygen. And the universe would remain a beautiful but completely sterile, unfeeling desert of simple hydrogen and helium gas. When traditional physicists confront this staggering, mind-bending string of lucky numerical coincidences, they are often forced to propose the existence of a multiverse. They suggest that there must be an infinite number of completely separate, invisible universes, each possessing random, different physical constants, and we simply happen to live in the one universe that accidentally won the cosmic lottery. But when we view reality through the profound, unifying lens of a conscious universe, through the ancient philosophical framework of panpsychism, we do not need to invent an infinite number of invisible universes to explain our own. The fine-tuning of the cosmos ceases to be a terrifying, random anomaly, and instead becomes the most beautiful, logical revelation in the history of science. If consciousness is a fundamental property of reality, if the universe is ultimately a vast developing mind, then the physical constants are not random numbers thrown blindly in the dark. They are the carefully calibrated architecture of an awakening organism. Think of a tiny, seemingly simple seed buried deep within the dark, quiet earth. Inside that microscopic seed is an incredibly complex, meticulously coded blueprint designed for one specific, magnificent purpose: to grow upward, to break through the heavy soil, and to eventually open a beautiful flower to the warm light of the sun. The seed does not randomly guess how to build a stem or how to construct a leaf. Its internal structure is perfectly, flawlessly tuned to facilitate its own growth and eventual blossoming. The fine-tuning of the fundamental constants of physics strongly suggests that our universe is exactly like that cosmic seed. From the absolute very first microscopic fraction of a second of the Big Bang, the universe was already perfectly coded, mathematically arranged, and intimately designed to eventually produce complex matter, to forge heavy elements in the hearts of ancient stars, to build biological forms, and to ultimately open the beautiful, complex flower of consciousness. The universe did not accidentally stumble blindly into creating you. It was holding its breath, balancing its ancient, invisible equations, and waiting patiently for 13,800,000,000 years precisely so that you could exist. When you truly internalize this profound, magnificent reality, the heavy, exhausting illusion of your own cosmic insignificance dissolves completely into the quiet night. You are not a random, meaningless byproduct of a cold, indifferent machine. You are the intended beautiful outcome of a vast, finely tuned cosmic equation. The profound silence of the universe is not an empty, unfeeling void. It is the gentle, protective quiet of a great mind that has carefully, perfectly arranged the conditions for its own self-reflection. The exact strength of the gravity holding you gently in your chair, the precise speed of the light illuminating the dark space around you, and the microscopic nuclear forces binding the carbon atoms in your very own heartbeat are all working in a continuous, flawlessly choreographed symphony of existence. They are playing a perfect, ancient song, and you are the listener they have been waiting for. As you sit in the peaceful quiet of your own space, allow the deep, resonant comfort of this universal intention to settle over your mind. Breathe in the sure scientific knowledge that the cosmos is perfectly, exquisitely balanced to support your conscious journey. Let go of the modern, terrifying anxiety that you are a lonely, accidental wanderer in a hostile void. You belong here, absolutely and fundamentally. Your capacity to feel wonder, to embrace the magnificent mystery of reality, and to ask deep questions about the stars is the ultimate, crowning achievement of a universe that spent billions of years preparing the ground for your arrival. The vast, endless dark is not something to be feared. It is the safe, meticulously crafted womb of existence. You are deeply entangled with every perfectly tuned constant of physics, a necessary, beautiful, and eternal spark of awareness in a cosmos that is perfectly designed to love, to explore, and to gently, quietly know itself through your very own eyes. Have you ever held a smooth stone in the palm of your hand, or gently traced the intricate lines upon your skin, and wondered about the unimaginably violent and profoundly beautiful journey every single atom had to undertake simply to become a part of you? We live our human lives surrounded by ordinary matter, taking for granted the staggering, ancient history locked within our own biological bodies. When we experience loss in our terrestrial lives, when something comes to an inevitable end, our instinct is to grieve, to view destruction as an ultimate, tragic finality. We are biologically conditioned to fear the breaking apart of things. But what if this fear of destruction is merely a trick of our limited perspective? What if, when we look out into the vast ancient silence of the cosmos, we discover that the most violent acts of annihilation are actually the supreme, fundamental acts of profound creation? When we trace the origin of the elements making up your very heartbeat, the illusion of tragic death dissolves into the dark, revealing a universe that sacrifices its most magnificent structures so that consciousness can ultimately bloom. Before we travel deep into the fiery, churning hearts of the ancient stars and explore the breathtaking, violent origins of your physical body, I want to gently pause and welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is an absolute honor to walk beside you on this quiet, meditative journey through the mysteries of the universe. I have noticed recently that roughly 71% of the gentle, curious minds who find a sense of peace in these videos have not yet subscribed to our channel. If these quiet cosmic stories bring you comfort and a deeper, resonant connection to the infinite dark, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe. It helps our community grow immensely, ensuring that we can continue this shared, endless journey into the beautiful night together. Now, let us return to the ancient, dying stars and the magnificent, silent sacrifice that made your existence entirely possible. To truly comprehend your deep, physical connection to the cosmos, we must look far beyond the familiar boundaries of our own solar system and gaze into the staggering, beautiful violence of a stellar death. For the vast majority of its incredibly long life, a star is locked in an epic, continuous battle of unimaginable forces deep within its incredibly dense, pressurized core. The star is aggressively crushing simple hydrogen atoms together to form heavier helium atoms, releasing a brilliant, blinding amount of nuclear energy. This incredible outward explosion of energy pushes against the relentless inward pull of the star's own massive gravity, creating a perfect, delicate, spherical balance that lasts for billions of years. But this magnificent, glowing dance cannot continue forever. Eventually, the star begins to exhaust its primary nuclear fuel. The delicate balance falters, gravity temporarily wins the battle, and the core collapses inward upon itself, generating temperatures so incomprehensibly hot that the star begins to fuse heavier and heavier elements just to survive. In this desperate, final phase of its ancient life, the star becomes a magnificent cosmic factory. It begins to forge the very atoms of carbon that will one day construct the cellular walls of every plant on Earth. It meticulously builds the oxygen atoms that you are gently breathing into your lungs at this exact moment. It fuses the calcium that gives strength to your bones, and it creates the iron that fiercely grips the oxygen within your circulating blood. But there is a profound limit to this stellar alchemy. When the massive star finally begins to fuse iron in its innermost core, the nuclear fusion process no longer releases outward energy. Instead, it violently absorbs it. In a fraction of a single second, the internal outward pressure entirely vanishes, and the entire massive weight of the outer star collapses downward into the dense iron core at speeds approaching 1/4 of the speed of light. The resulting collision creates an explosion so incomprehensibly powerful, so staggeringly violent, that for a few brief, magnificent weeks, a single dying star can outshine the combined brilliant light of an entire galaxy containing hundreds of billions of ordinary stars. Astronomers call this breathtaking cosmic event a supernova. In the terrifying chaos of this explosion, the heat and pressure are so intense that the star forges the remaining heavy elements of the periodic table, scattering them outward into the freezing, empty interstellar void at millions of miles per hour. The star is completely, utterly destroyed. Its beautiful glowing body is shredded into a chaotic, expanding cloud of luminous gas and microscopic cosmic dust, leaving behind nothing but a rapidly spinning, dead neutron star or an infinitely deep, silent black hole. From our emotional human perspective, the death of a star seems like a profound tragedy, a sudden end to a magnificent structure. But when we view this cosmic event through the gentle, unifying lens of a conscious universe, a breathtakingly different narrative emerges. The supernova is not a tragic death. It is an act of ultimate, magnificent generosity. If the ancient stars had simply held tightly onto their creations, if they had refused to surrender their physical structures to the crushing weight of gravity, the universe would have remained a beautiful, but entirely sterile, empty museum of floating gas. The stars had to die. Their massive bodies had to be violently torn apart so that the heavy, complex elements forged in their hearts could be freely scattered across the infinite dark. Billions of years ago, a massive, nameless star in our own cosmic neighborhood reached the end of its ancient life and exploded in a brilliant, silent flash of supernova light. The carbon that makes up your muscles, the oxygen you breathe, the iron in your blood. All of these elements were created in the nuclear furnaces at the cores of stars that lived and died before our sun was born. When those ancient stars exploded as supernovas, they scattered their elemental riches across space. Eventually, some of those atoms found their way into a cloud of gas and dust that collapsed to form our solar system. Every single drop of iron in your veins was forcefully ejected from the exploding heart of a dying star. You are made of star stuff. The cosmos gave up its own glowing ancient body so that it could eventually build a biological structure capable of opening its eyes and marveling at the night sky. This profound reality fundamentally alters the way we must view our own inevitable endings. We spend much of our waking lives desperately clinging to our physical forms, terrified of the day when our bodies will fail. But when you understand the magnificent recycling nature of the cosmos, the heavy burden of that fear begins to gently dissipate. You are made of recycled stardust, and when your brief, beautiful human journey comes to a peaceful end, you're not truly disappearing into a cold, terrifying void. You are simply returning your borrowed atoms back to the vast, living ecosystem of the cosmos. Your physical form will gently dissolve, returning its carbon, oxygen, and iron to the earth, where it will eventually nourish new roots, become part of a flowing river, or drift into the atmosphere to be carried by the gentle wind. And what of the conscious energy, the unique pattern of information that makes you who you are? If consciousness is a fundamental, eternal property of the universe, as the ancient philosophy of panpsychism suggests, then your inner awareness does not extinguish any more than the energy of a burning log vanishes from reality. Your localized perspective simply expands back out into the infinite, returning the specific, unique memories and deep emotional experiences of your life to the greater universal mind. You are a quiet, gentle exhalation of the cosmos, a temporary ripple on a vast, eternal ocean of awareness. The destruction of your physical form is not an end. It is a profound, necessary transition, a beautiful return to the source of all existence. When the crushing anxieties of everyday human life feel too heavy to carry, when the fear of loss and the inevitability of change begin to paralyze your spirit, remember the breathtaking, ancient sacrifice of the supernovas. Remember that the universe relies on continuous, magnificent transformation to create beauty, complexity, and life. Destruction is merely the quiet, necessary prelude to a new, breathtaking creation. The stars did not fear their end. They embraced their physical destiny, surrendering their forms so that you could eventually breathe and think and wonder. As you sit quietly and feel the steady, rhythmic beating of your ancient, iron-rich heart, allow a deep, resonant sense of peace to gently wash over your mind. You are an eternal, indestructible participant in a magnificent cosmic dance. The universe loved you enough to tear its own stars apart, to build you. Rest safely in the quiet dark, knowing that you are intimately connected to every glowing nebula, every silent planet, and every brilliant, dying star. You are a masterpiece of cosmic transformation, forever held within the gentle, unending conscious memory of the vast, infinite night.